Good evening, all. Tonight's the final millage and county budget hearing, Lee County Board of County Commissioners. It's after 5:05. I'm going to ask everyone to stand. I'm going to ask for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, and then we'll do the pledge. So if we just bow our heads, it's unfortunate that we should be able to speak in a democratic world, and obviously democracy is all about everyone having opinions and respect everybody for their opinions. So God be with his family, as I don't think anyone should lose their life over a different opinion than someone else. Thank you all. Let's turn to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to call to order. I'm asked the county attorney to read into the record the proof of public hearing notification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our office had received the proof of publication, and we provided that to the clerk's office this evening. You are lawfully entitled to move forward.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I now thereby open the public hearing this evening for the fiscal year 25-26 final budget and millage for Lee County. If anyone in the audience is here to propose to contest in their assessment, they should contact the Lee County Property Appraiser's Office. Tonight we're holding the final millage and budget public hearing required by statutes 129 and 200. The hearing will be conducted as follows. The board will first convene as the Board of Port Commissioners and then proceed. The budget presentation by the Port Authority Director Executive. Public comment for the final Port Authority budget will take place. This will be your only opportunity to comment on the budget for the Port Authority first, is what we'll do. There's no other opportunities during this for your comments. Board of Port Commissioners discussions and motions, and then we'll adopt that. Following, the board will reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners will proceed as follows. I'll have a brief overview by Lee County's 25-26 proposed budget presented by the CFO. We'll have a presentation of Lee County's total budget by our CFO, including the discussion of percentage increases in millage over rollback rate needed to fund the budget and specific purposes to which the ad valorem tax revenues are increased under Florida Statute 200.0652E1. Presentation by special taxing units proposed by the final millage by the CFO. Public comment for all budget issues will be under the authority of the Port Authority. There'll be only the opportunity to talk about the budgets the Board of County Commissioners has the authority over. There's no other opportunity during this hearing. Following the public comment, the Board of County Commissioners will take comment, take action, and move forward with the budget. We'll actually finalize the final millage as well as the final budget. We'll have consideration for taxing units and final millage and budgets. We'll have consideration for countywide final millage and budget, consideration for library, unincorporated MSTU, all hazard protection, and final millages for budgets, consideration of all budgets and final. Concerning citizens' comments, in order to expedite the hearing for everyone, citizens' comments can be heard during public comment. There's two public comment sections, one for the Port Authority and one for the Board of County Commissioners. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please don't applaud, don't take any actions, don't intimidate or take anything away from the encourage the speaker is going to go through. Give them the opportunity to voice their opinion. Public comments will continue. Anyone wishes to address the commission had one opportunity to speak so. Will now convene as the Board of Port Commissioners. We'll ask the Port Authority Director to come up and present his final budget. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dave Amdor, Authority Deputy Executive Director and CFO. In compliance with Florida statutes, a public hearing is being held on September 16, 2025 for the purpose of adopting the final budget for FY 25-26. Board of Port Commissioners has acknowledged the revenue estimates necessary to fund the Port Authority budget for FY 25-26. The Board of County Commissioners is now convened as the Board of Port Commissioners for adoption of the final Port Authority budget. The budget for FY 25-26, as shown by the attached schedules of each fund, is made a part of this resolution and is proposed for adoption as the final budget of the Lee County Port Authority for FY 25-26. No adjustments are being proposed for the Port Authority's budget at this time.
Thank you. At this time, the Commission will be pleased to hear any comments on the Port Authority's final budget. Anybody would like to speak on the Port Authority budget?
Thank you, Commissioners. Marcia Ellis for the record. I did speak at the original budget hearing, and I reaffirm those comments, at which time I raised a concern for the amount of monies that are being spent on construction errors to the tune of at least $347 million additional dollars on the construction project being underway, as well as it being 4 years behind schedule and $8 million left out on the tarmac, and the impacts that that has on our physical health at the airport. With concern for, could I get the document camera, please? With specific concern for how this could affect our municipal rating over time. We did borrow $565 million in revenue bonds in 2024, and there is some concern that our financial health could be impacted with additional increased project costs. This is under the rating sensitivities, and that sustain case leverage above 9 times. So currently, we've historically had about a 2.3 case leverage, and we basically had that because apparently we were using recovery funds to pay down our debt. It is anticipated that our case leverage can go high as 15.3 over, or 15.8 times over, which exceeds that 9 times threshold for impacting our municipal rating over time. I'm also concerned about the amount of monies that are being spent on those executive line items. I think that the public deserves some transparency. If that is to address some of the construction guffaws, then I think that that should be disclosed, as well as the movement of funds around inside of the airport in various accounts. So I think that given the fact that not every community does the Board of Commissioners also serve as the Port of Commissioners, that we do definitely need some additional transparency, as well as those commitments to follow federal advisory guidance that, that we're not doing right now. Through those contractual obligations, whenever we take federal monies, we need to also implement that. I just ask for more transparency, given the seriousness of the issues that we have experienced at the airport. And I'm putting these additional documents on file to join my others. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on the Port Authority budget? Seeing none, I'll close public comment for the Port Authority. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Just a couple of comments, just to clarify the record again. This project started well before COVID, and like everything that we've experienced from COVID, the price increases that have taken place are way without our control. I appreciate the speaker's comments. We certainly all are very prudent in what we do. We do have a very excellent rating from the and continue to do so. So we're more than aware of it, but I'm not aware of any project that went through COVID that didn't have significant increases, and that is certainly part of, a great part of the problem we have. But those are just comments for clarification. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may too, because I feel like a lot of times like this is like the comment section on social media, like somebody just jumps in and says something, like people start to believe it and pile on, and maybe even like the news will report it from time to time. But I think it's important to try to get some facts out there and to be honest and to be truthful and to be transparent. And so let's do that, right? What happened with the airport? Well, gosh, we through a competitive bid process, hired an international engineering firm to design this expansion of the airport, and they blew it. They basically designed the structural completely wrong. It wasn't strong enough. And then what happened when you design the structural incorrectly? you had to go out and redesign the project. And so the project got redesigned, and guess what? When it got redesigned, it had to be a much bigger, much stronger, much more expensive, unfortunately, project. And so we held them accountable. They've already put some money aside as a credit towards that. We're going to continue, as we've talked about, to hold them accountable, but we had to get the project back on track. And we made a very prudent decision to get the project back on track because the airport's growing 11 million passengers a year and growing, going to continue to grow. We got to get this expansion going so that we can continue to serve the public. So that's what we did. That's what's happening at the airport. And so it's not like this was some case of budget mismanagement by the commissioners. I mean, we hired an internationally known engineering firm to design this airport, and they just, unfortunately, when they made their mistake, they made it on our airport. And so we're getting that corrected. We've hired extensions of staff to make sure that as this project gets forward, it gets done on time and on the new budget. And we're working to mitigate the risk for the public as we move forward. I just think it's so important to get that story out there because it doesn't get told unless we tell it. So, thank you.
Appreciate your comments. The other thing that is misconstrued so often is people talk about taxpayer dollars. There's not a taxpayer dollar that's actually allocated to run the Port Authority. It's all from user fees. So just for clarity purposes, when we talk about this, you know, the vendors there, whether it's the airlines or the car rental companies or the concessions areas, parking, those are the way we have the revenue to do what we do. And I just want that for clarity purpose, but I appreciate your comments.
I move the item.
I'll second it.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add a
Absolutely,
point,
by all
please.
means.
So we drilled down pretty deep on this project earlier this year with that $350 million cost overrun. And I assure you that with the measures we put in place and the review that we have with the communications with staff and some of the implementation of the communications measures and the notifications of things being on time and on budget that we've put into place to make sure that we're cognizant of these things and we can use an ounce of medicine instead of a pound of cure, so to speak, that we are implementing those management items with staff, with all these new vendors and support people on behalf of the entire county. So there were some lessons learned on the construction side and the engineering side, and I assure you that those are being talked about on a weekly and monthly basis with all of us so that we're all completely transparent and aware of things in a much better way. And so I'm very pleased with the progress we've made since our January meeting on this item. So I think that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure it stays that way. But I want to thank staff for implementing a lot of these measures and cost controls and other budget things that we have in here, communications for change orders and all these other things so that we as commissioners can do our job effectively by being properly informed. So I want you to know that we are paying attention to those things. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We'll now reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. We'll begin by asking that if the constitutional offices or any current related organization desires to make a budget presentation, please step forward now. Seeing none, at this time, we'll ask the CFO to present the fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is the public hearing as required by Chapters 129 and 200 Florida statutes. Chapter 200 is amended, requires that a public hearing on the budgets be preceded by notice of the hearing. Such notice was advertised in the news press on September 13th, 2025. At this time, we will read the proposed millages, rollback rates, and the proposed percentage change from the rollback rate for the county's general fund, library, unincorporated area MSTU, all hazards, and special taxing units millages. We will then take public input, and after public input, we will return to the board for discussion and vote on the millages. These proposed millages are established to pay for the fiscal year 2025-26 continuation budget. Generally, Commissioners, cost increases are primarily due to providing services to an increase in population, inflationary pressures, inflationary increases in contractual arrangements, healthcare cost increases, pay adjustment. Countywide millage. The proposed countywide millage is 3.7623 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of 3.6162 mils per thousand of taxable value. Proposed millage is a 4.04% increase from the rollback rate. Lee County Library. The proposed Lee County Library millage is .4218 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of .4218 mils per thousand taxable value. The proposed millage is a 0% increase from the rollback rate. Lee County Unincorporated Area MSTU. The proposed Lee County Unincorporated Area MSTU millage is .8398 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of .8091 mils per thousand of taxable value. The proposed millage is a 3.79% increase from the rollback rate. Lee County All Hazards Protection District. The proposed Lee County All Hazards Protection District millage is a .0693 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of .0673 mils per thousand of taxable value. This represents a 3.03% increase from the rollback rate. Municipal Services Taxing Units. The Municipal Services Taxing Units allow communities to tax themselves to pay for added services such as street lights, dredging, road paving, and landscaping. For those units that have citizen committees, the budgets for next year were approved by the committees, and the tax rate is a reflection of what is required to pay the annual costs. For those that don't have citizen committees, the county charges a rate that pays for annual costs while maintaining a small operational reserve for variances in revenues and unanticipated costs. I'm now going to read into the record the proposed millage rates, the rollback rates, and the percentage change from the rollback rates for each of the special taxing units millages. Alabama Groves Light MSTU, proposed millage .6500. That's a 27.42% increase from rollback rate of .5101. Bayshore Estates Light MSTU, proposed millage 1.72. That's a 10.38% increase from the rollback rate of 1.5583. Billy Creek Commerce Center Light MSTU, proposed millage .1893. That's a 17.96% increase over the rollback rate of .1605. Burkdale Street Light MSTU, proposed millage .31. That's a 3.22% increase over the rollback rate of .3003. Burnt Store Fire MSTU, proposed millage 3.17. That's a 0.91% increase over the rollback rate of 3.1413. Charleston Park Light MSTU, proposed millage 1.5. That's a 13.8% increase over the rollback rate of 1.3181. Cypress Lake Light MSTU, proposed millage .4060. That's a 3.52% increase over the rollback rate of .3922. Daughtry Creek Light MSTU, proposed millage .94. That's a 15.01% increase over the rollback rate of .8173. Flamingo Bay Light, proposed millage .48. That's a 4.33% increase over the rollback rate of .4601. Fort Myers Shores Light MSTU, proposed millage .1620. That's a 3.84% decrease over the rollback rate of .1685. Fort Myers Villas Light MSTU, proposed millage .22. That's a 7.22% decrease over the rollback rate of .2371. Gasparilla Island MSTU, proposed millage .0320. That's a 0.16% increase over the rollback rate of .0319. Harlem Heights Light MSTU, proposed millage .55. That's a 7.24% increase over the rollback rate of .5129. Heitman Apollo Light Street Light Unit, proposed millage 1.08. That's a 5.08% increase over the rollback rate of 1.0278. Hendry Creek Light, proposed millage .47. That's a 4.46% increase over the rollback rate of .45. Iona Gardens Light, MSTU, proposed millage of .56. That's a 5.39% increase over the rollback rate of .5314. Lehigh Acres Light, proposed millage .6. That's a 15.17% decrease over the rollback rate of .7073. Lockmore Village Light, MSTU, proposed millage .7050, that's a 1.42% decrease over the rollback rate of .7152. Maravilla Fire District, MSTU, proposed millage 2.0, that's a 12.04% increase over the rollback rate of 1.7851. McGregor Isles O&M Special Improvement Unit, proposed millage of 0.5, that's a 6.15% increase over the rollback rate of 0.4710. Mobile Haven Light, MSTU, proposed millage 0.75, that's a 1.54% decrease rate of 0.7618. North Shores Light, MSTU, proposed millage 0.3270, that's a 2.35% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.3349. North Fort Myers Light, MSTU, proposed millage 0.2450, that's a 15.68% increase over the rollback rate of 0.2118. Northeast Hurricane Bay, MSTU, proposed millage of 1, that's a 3.28% increase over the rollback rate of 0.9683. Page Park Light, proposed millage of 0.3, that's a 12.83% increase over the rollback rate of 0.2659. Palmetto Point Light, proposed millage 1.25, that's a 76.73% increase over the rollback rate of 0.7073. Palmona Park Light, proposed millage 0.80, that's a 7.37% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.8637. Pine Manor Light MSTU, proposed millage 0.4160, that's 11.64% increase over the rollback rate of 0.3726. Fort Edison Light, proposed millage 0.60, that's a 5.62% increase over the rollback rate of 0.5681. Riverdale Shores Improvement, proposed millage 2.0, that's a 0.72% increase over the rollback rate of 1.9857. Russell Park Light, that's a proposed millage of 0.6336, that's a 2.53% increase over the rollback rate of 0.6180. San Carlos Island Lighting Unit, proposed millage 0.0850, that's a 12.06% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.0967. San Carlos Park Improvement, proposed millage of 0.30, that's a 9.77% increase over the rollback rate of 0.2733. Skyline Light, MSTU, proposed millage 0.180, that's a 9.12% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.1981. St. Jude Harbor Light, proposed millage of 0.27, that's a 3.37% increase over the rollback rate of 0.2612. Tanglewood Improvement, proposed millage of 1.0, that's a 5.25% increase over the rollback rate of 0.9501. Town and River Improvement, proposed millage of 0.50, that's a 9.86% increase over the rollback rate of 0.4551. Trail Winds Light, proposed millage of 0.5, that's an 8.99% increase over the rollback rate of 0.4587. Tropic Isles Light, proposed millage of 0.530, that's a 1.99% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.5408. Usepa Island Fire, proposed millage of 4.63, that's a 2.26% increase over the rollback rate of 4.5277. Villa Palms Light, proposed millage of 0.750, that's a 6.72% increase over the rollback rate of 0.7027. Villa Pines Light, proposed millage of 0.360, that's a 0.82% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.3630. Waterway Estates Light, proposed millage 0.30, that's a 9.69% decrease over the rollback rate of 0.3322. Waterway Shores Light, proposed millage of 1.3, that's an 81.14% decrease over the rollback rate of 6.8933. Whiskey Creek Improvement, proposed millage 0.9999, that's a 3.62% increase over the rollback rate of 0.9650. The previously read fiscal year 25-26 special unit taxing unit millages are proposed for final adoption. Any percentage in the proposed millage over the rollback rate reflected above is due to a combination of increased electric costs, additional landscaping, and other future projects. If no changes are made after public comment, only one motion to adopt will be required, as the resolution includes all of these taxing units.
Thank you, Pete. Pete, would you just, we have an awful lot of people here, so would you just go over the three things we're going to do tonight? We're either going to adjust the millage rate down and/or pass a total budget, but there's no opportunity for us to do anything other than those things tonight?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So,
So just for the audience's purposes, we actually at the last budget hearing proposed a millage rate that was last year's millage rate. So we have no opportunities to increase the budget. So we'll actually just either keep the millage rate where it is or lower it. And then secondarily, we just pass the budget as a whole. So I know there's about 25 comments on 2020, and I'll certainly embrace everyone to make their comments, but we're not going to reallocate money tonight at all. It's two items, a millage rate, lower it or not, and a total budget. So the budget that has $98 odd million in reserves will have the same budget that we have, correct?
correct.
Okay. Just for everyone's edification, I just want people to understand, I'm going to listen to each one of your comments, but it's not like we're going to move money out of this column to that column tonight. That's not what this is tonight, and that would have been at prior meetings, not tonight's meeting. It's really just a couple of questions. Do we lower the millage rate? Keep it the same? We pass the entire budget. The budget has what we have in it, and we can't raise the millage rate, we can't go higher tonight, so we have no opportunities to increase our budget at all. Just want everyone to understand what we're going to do, because right now, at this time, the commissioners will present to hearing to any citizens. Again, this is a time where you have the opportunity to make your comments. I have about 25 cards. I'll start at the top, but I don't want anyone to be disappointed that we didn't move $20 million over from this fund over to 2020. We do have about $98 million in reserves. I just want everyone to understand what
Chair.
it is.
Chairman, if I could, thank you. Just like the chairman said, some of the people I recognize, some of our friends from Buckingham and everything were here at this meeting this morning. We talked about 2020. I just wanted the board took action this morning. We're going to actually have a workshop in the future. Commissioner Wayne brought it up to about 2020. I know some of you are here. I was told before the meeting, we were told that if you come here tonight and speak, we would appear, $40 million would appear into the 2020 fund. Like the chairman said, that action is not being taken tonight, so thank you. I'm glad you're here. We want to hear from you, but at the end of the day, the budget's already set, so we'll be talking about 2020 in the future. We're currently in compliance with the ordinance as it is now, but we talked about that this morning. We'll be having a workshop in the future. We actually approved 9 more parcels. If you missed that this morning, we purchased 9 more parcels this morning for 2020 because it's so important to the board. So thank you, Chairman, for addressing that, but thank you.
Trying to. Okay, so the first card holder, Edward Elms. I believe you were here this morning, but come on up.
Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners. Yeah, I understand what you just said. I was not aware of that before, but that's on me, not on you. But the comments that I can make, and I'll keep them short. I guess will be just part of the record, I guess, for that. But one of the things I guess that I would like to see happen is that this is not something that is thrown on a shelf and forgotten about, that in the next ensuing year's budget that it would be considered again. And I say that because this program, Tim, in my way of thinking, has been a success, and it's been a success because of the support that the commission has given to it and put the money in the budget for these critical pieces of land to be purchased. But you know, I have read this. The fact, I guess, can be checked or whatever, but there's supposedly 80,000 homes that are in the pipeline, and with that, I mean, if that's the case, I mean, whatever it is, we know the county is growing at a great rate. that number is something that I just read just recently, but the need in the future for critical open space is going to be there, you know, and it's going to, and the more people you have, the more you're going to need. But the popularity of the program is something that, you know, that you all know about. I mean, you're the ones that were here. Your predecessors had initiatives on the ballot where 84% of the people in the county, they weren't just, you know, tree huggers and environmentalists, but they were people from all walks of life that supported that, whatever political persuasion had nothing to do with it. They just, they wanted it, and I think that's one of the reasons why that it's has been important. I've owned property here for over 50 years, and I've been a full-time resident of Lee County for 25. I've also volunteered with the 2020 program, so I have a little bit of a vested interest in that, and I'm aware of some of the history, and we won't go through that as far as what happened with that, but the voters did vote on this twice, and I think if it was put up for a vote again, they would probably approve it again. I mean, maybe people think that they may not, but I believe they certainly would.
Thank you for your comments. Your time unfortunately is up.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah, the red light goes
All right,
on, so
okay,
I'm sorry.
I
For
got the
new
red light.
people, it's green, yellow, and red, but I appreciate your comments.
I got you.
Today's message.
You get the gist of what I'm saying, and I understand that this is not the purpose of this meeting. I'm glad you allowed me to say that, but
No
you know, I hope that this is not a dead issue. That's all. You know, that hope it
Yeah.
can be reconsidered.
I appreciate the speaker's comments. We'll certainly go through the rest, but just for everyone's own edification, there were so many people that spoke on this morning. I asked to have a workshop. We're going to have a separate workshop on this topic alone.
All right.
So it's not going to bed, and we're not putting it on a shelf. And I can assure you, every commissioner here wants to make sure we go forward with the 2020 project. So that's not in
It's
question
something
whatsoever.
in the next several
We're going to have
months.
a workshop. Certainly going to just talk about this specific issue.
Good.
We understand what's in front of us. But thank you for your comments.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it so much. Brad Cornell. Followed by Robert Ballard.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thanks again for the opportunity to address you about Conservation 2020 and your budget, which includes the way you apportion the money that you're taking in through the ad valorem process and through fees. I'm Brad Cornell. I'm here on behalf of Audubon, Florida, which owns Corkscrew Swamp Sanctuary, and also Audubon of Southwest Florida here in Lee County. In 2016, as you know, 84% of Lee voters approved continuing Conservation 2020 with a $500,000 tax levy for land acquisition and management. Since then, the board has absorbed that $500,000 into the general fund, but with an ordinance promise to keep 2020 funds with at least $40 million. This current budget abandons that regulatory promise. Audubon urges the board to revise the budget to include replenishment of the Conservation 2020 program as required by your ordinance. And I think this is going to be a topic of your workshop, I assume. But we were very disappointed from this morning's decision not to fund Conservation 2020 programmatically any further in the foreseeable future. So I know you've got $19 million, but that's considerably less than $40 million. Lack of replenishment will affect Lee County's water quality and flood protection work. It will also significantly discourage new applications to sell conservation land to 2020. Lack of funds on top of very long processing times, in excess of 2 years sometimes, will depress acquisitions and applications. We hope you will reconsider this decision in light of strong public 2020 support and many acres of conservation and restoration opportunities that you have now, and hopefully many more to come. Audubon appreciates the board's historic, very strong support of Conservation 2020. We heard that this morning loud and clear, and we appreciate that. But it's not time to rest on the good works of the past. It's time to move forward. Thank you very much for your reconsideration.
Robert Ballard? Mr. Ballard's coming up. Again, I'm not saying we're not going to fund anything, and that's why we have a workshop, but we just don't have the luxury of moving money over from one column to another tonight. So I just want you to understand, I don't think anyone here is not going to be committed to 2020, and we're going to have a workshop, but for people that think we're going to move money over, we have $98 million in reserves. We have $25 million we received from the state. We have not touched that at all. So I just want to assure everybody here, as someone that governed for a long time in a very special place, I think every board member here, I applaud for what they're doing, and I think they're all committed to it. I can't reiterate that enough because I appreciate everyone's comments, but if people think I'm going to move money from this column, that's just not tonight's process. Please, sir, by all means.
I appreciate the board's support for 2020 this morning. It's very encouraging to hear that and your ideas, and I appreciate that. I need a point of clarity. Are you not going to fund the 0.5 mil, or are you not going to fund taking out of the general fund and putting into the 40 mil threshold?
Just for clarification purposes,
Yes.
we don't have the opportunity to raise the millage rate tonight. What Florida statute says is when we set the millage rate going forward from the last hearing, I can't raise it. So I don't have that opportunity. So all we have is, so I have a millage rate, I can go lower, which obviously decreases the amount of money we have, okay? And then pass the total budget.
But
Within that budget, I have $98 million.
My confusion is the taxpayer voted to add a 0.5.
No, they didn't.
That was my understanding, is that referendum was that the taxpayer
No.
voted to increase, to set up the millage rate for 0.5 to be going into a 2020 budget. And my question is, if that's the case, and you're not going to, one of the things is decrease to 0.5 versus adding, I'm not talking about increasing, I'm just talking about was it existing? From the,
County Attorney, would you just clarify what took place? There seems to be some confusion over this 5 mils and why it was and what had happened and why it was actually abandoned, please?
Certainly. Mr. Chairman, board members, as you'll recall, in the past, the board had talked about a half mil set aside within the general fund millage to be used for 2020. That was not a separate line item. It was not a separate municipal service taxing or benefit unit. It was contained within the overall millage, and as such is contained within the millage that was advertised for this evening. It is not a separate millage or a line item on anybody's individual tax bill. It once appeared as a line item on a tax bill, and Lee County was informed by the Department of Revenue that you could no longer continue that practice, but it's important to recognize the distinction between the general ad valorem millage and a special revenue fund such as an MSBU or TU, the litany of which Mr. Whitten read into the record this evening. This is not that. The half mil is within the board's general fund aggregated millage rate.
So let me simplify this, if I may. The Department of Revenue indicated that what we did, we weren't able to do, we had to discontinue that practice, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we didn't have the ability, because the Department of Revenue, who has a higher authority than we do, said we weren't able to do that. That's why the 5 mils were no longer separate, and that's why they, again, it wasn't anything we were just told by a much higher department. We weren't able to do that. So that's why it's included the exceptions out in the public, that we did that away with that. We were told to do away with that. So just want everyone to understand that.
Chairman, if I could, since we're having to go back and forth the debate, that was a 1996 straw poll. It wasn't a referendum. And when the county got notice of that in 2011 or 12, I believe, 15, 14 years ago, that's when the change was. What you've been provided, a lot of people in this room have been provided, was information by groups, organizations to fundraise, to come here and tell us to change something that it was never, is not legal today. So I'm sorry you were told that. I'm not sure where you got the information. There's a couple different groups out there fundraising for this effort, trying to use this to fundraise their own efforts. I get that. But at the end of the day, we cannot do that. That straw poll was in 1996. Since then, there's another ballot initiative that we put forward, I think, in 2014 or 16, that does not mention a half a mil. just so you know, and the county attorney can provide that for the people in the audience in the future. But tonight, this budget before us is already set, so I yield back to the chairman.
Yeah, so I just want everyone to understand, I mean, the urgency that people presented tonight is my reason for asking for a workshop to deal with this issue, because we're all committed to that. I mean, I governed in Sanibel, okay, and I assured everyone that this board I always respected as a mayor of Sanibel for over a dozen years. We're committed to it. We said that tonight, and I also then asked the commission, we had unanimous approval, that we're gonna have a workshop, and we're gonna address this issue so there's no misunderstandings whatsoever.
Right, so.
The budget's passed.
So my last point is, I would like to be part of that.
Absolutely. And that's why I want to have a workshop. The problem you have in meetings like today, because more than half of the cards I have spoke already this morning, and I'm more than welcome to hear their comments again. But tonight, I just don't want anyone to walk away and say, the commissioners didn't move the money. I can't do that tonight.
I just needed the understanding of.
Oh, listen, conservation is so important, and I understand that.
And I appreciate.
We're all stewards of water quality. We all advocated. We've all been to Tallahassee. We've been to Washington. We've testified. We understand the importance of this. I don't want anyone to think for a moment we're not going to do this. What we do is we have a lot of properties that obviously even more than we did. The chart we had today was over $50 million worth of properties. The $40 million everyone talks about would give us a deficit anyway.
Right.
So we have a bigger problem in front of us. That's why we want to have a workshop. And that's why we want to have as much conversation. And honestly, reach out to any commissioner, but everyone today reaffirmed their commitment to this program. We're not going to rest on our accolades. I just want everyone to understand
Yeah, and I don't want to
what
get
we're
into
doing.
that whole process tonight. I just want a
Yeah,
clarification of the thing.
we're going to pass the millage rate,
Yeah.
okay, and I can't raise it, and we're going to pass the total budget. That's the only thing we're doing tonight.
Okay.
I just don't want anyone to be disappointed. Stay as long as you like. I'm going to be here the last speaker, and we all are going to be here. But when I don't move the money, I don't want the press to say, the commissioners didn't move the money. I can't do that tonight. I just want everyone to understand what I can and can't do tonight.
Yeah, and I just had to understand where the money is there.
But rest assured, we do have almost $100 million to address any issues that come before us.
And then I certainly want to be part of the workshop to talk about.
By all means.
The rating folks. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Next speaker is Keith Campbell. Keith?
Good evening, gentlemen. Keith from the Buckingham. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I said it this morning, but for those who weren't here this morning, it seemed like, to you guys' defense, the developers are going to try using you as their scapegoat. And that's what us, the community, needs to understand. You guys have already made it perfectly clear that that's what you guys don't want to be. You're going to look at it a lot better. The tier process, you're going to look at that in the next session that you're talking about, and you want to make some changes and make things work. And you want to keep the program alive. So again, glad to see you guys are supporting that. Keep doing what you're doing. Glad that you're seeing some of the smoke screens that are out there. And you know, we do got a lot of properties out there that we do need to preserve. And I look forward to being in that meeting when you guys do it. And then I also know that there's 2 vacancies on the 2020 board. I did throw my name in there, and hopefully I can get you guys support to sit in one of those positions. Have a good evening.
Fill the application out. Thank you, sir. James Kennedy? James? Followed by Bill Burnett.
James Kennedy, Alva, you guys know me. I know I'm one of the people that you talked this morning. You know, when you look at the timeline, you know, we hit kind of the target goal for the program, the minimum target, 4 or 5 years ago. But you know, that was the minimum target. So you know, the concern that people have is, you know, by not funding the program, not putting that statute, that ordained 40 million in the thing, in the budget. You know, the concern is that it is a way of unintentionally, you know, whether you realize it or not, sunsetting the program. That's the perception, right? So the comments that you've made tonight, they're important. to be clear with how the money is moved, what the guidelines are. All of that stuff's important. Having the workshop definitely needs to happen to really make this process apparent and clear. But when the program had to be revised because you couldn't do the separate line item for the millage rate, that's something that not only is it not well communicated, not well understood by the average resident, but if that had been, I think that there would have been a push to maybe have a different way of executing this program, because the key concern here is, like I said this morning, that 30,000, 31,400 acres that we've got, it's not a static amount, right? And all of these other parts of your budget, taking the money out, putting it into the general fund, using it for these other projects, that accounting is the problem. I think that's why you have people here thinking that the program will be sunsetted, because we don't understand where the money's going, right? That's it.
I assure you it's not. Bill? Bill Burnett? Bill left, okay. Alicia left.
Right.
Bill? Burnett? Left, okay. Alicia? And you were here this morning as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm back. I hope everybody's looking at me today. Thank you so much. I'm here because commissioners, clear is kind. To be clear is to be kind. Clarity is what we need in order to avoid any misunderstanding or what is somebody called fake news. So we have to be all on the same page. And what is very clear is the ordinance. So allow me to quote the ordinance. The acquisition fund should maintain a fund balance no more than 100 million and no less than 40 million. Once the fund balance drops below this amount, the county will replenish the fund. It doesn't say should or might, may, it's will, all right? Okay. So I think in times of resiliency that we are living today, the smart way to act is to spend now to save later, not the other way around. Not to save now and then spend later double. I'm gonna cite you a quote, wasn't said by Al Gore, it wasn't said by Sierra Club, it's not a quote, I'm not quoting a tree hugger, I'm quoting an analyst from Stanley Morgan. And he says, nature and its contributions to human well-being and quality of life generates over 400 trillion with T in economic value. What they are recommending, Stanley Morgan and other analysts, is invest now in nature. It's the best money invested. So allow me to speak, well, I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but for myself, I've been living here for 22 years. We are not asking for a workshop. We are asking for you to abide by the ordinance. That's it, it's clear. I'm not a scientist in math, but 19 million is not 40 million. So we are below the minimum threshold. That's all I want to say, and thank you so much for looking at me today. Now,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patricia Gard?
Good evening. I didn't understand that the decision had already been made, so my comments are kind of irrelevant right now. I'll look forward to this workshop, and I would like to participate in that and share my views and hopefully encourage you to replenish this fund to the minimum amount, so thank you.
Dennis Huber? Dennis? Followed by Nancy Thompson.
I'm Denise Huber. I just hope that you guys, our representatives, will continue to fund and replenish the 2020 Conservation Fund to preserve the wild, beautiful places we have in our beautiful place we live, because it's really important for our mental health, it's important for future generations. So people voted for it, and so please replenish the fund when you can. I appreciate the meeting, the workshop you're going to do, and thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Thompson?
So I'm probably really going to reiterate everything. I understand that you can't move money around in your budget. I understand, and I see the surplus of 98 million or whatever that number is actually could be spent. I say spend it now on those pieces of property so that the discrepancy in what people perceive as funding would go away. As we know, Conservation 2020 is funded through all the taxpayers. We've been doing it for quite a long time, and everyone loves it. There's a very small portion of people who don't think it's worthy. Conservation will be leaving the most iconic, really, legacy for this county to hopefully stand out among others in Florida, where we know that the development is just eating up our resources at an incredible rate. For future generations of Floridians, and more importantly, to protect the habitats of this countless species. They all depend on your decisions made here, and once they're gone, they're gone. So please, keep it fully funded. If the surplus money is there, by all means, use it. And if in the future you can have an account that's transparent to the public, you won't even have to do this, because they'll be following it, and they'll be cheering you on. Thank you so much.
For just a couple comments, just to continue the clarity. The amount of properties that were presented to us today was over $50 million. So the fund says we need to replenish that. Doesn't have a good date when we have to, but it need to replenish the 40 million. The reason for the workshop is we're going to have more applications as the economy softens. So that number could grow to 50, 60, 70 million. So we need to have a broader conversation because this economy is slowing down. You know, and I just want everyone to understand we're getting more applications. Today, I also put on the record CBGR money that we actually gave as grants. People are returning that because they can't build the property. There's not enough buyers. There's not enough people looking to do it. So there's going to be a real softening. And what we're finding is many builders are actually coming to us saying, I want 15 million, but I'll take the 10 million. You can take it off my hands. As the gentleman said earlier, we don't want to be the catch-all for every piece of property that someone wants to dump to Lee County. But we do have significant challenges because when you have 50, 60, 70 million dollars worth of properties presented to you, the fund only had $40 million. So we need to have a broader conversation. I just want people to understand what's in front of us because the number of vacancies are almost at 30% on the residential side. Commercial is even higher. And I don't think that's going to improve anytime soon. John Wilkes. John? Joyce Campagna.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Campana. I'm a resident of Lee County District 2. Before I go to my comments that I've already prepared, I think you also need to remind everybody here that during workshops, there's no public participation. I believe the lady before said she's looking forward to participating in it. Just so they're not disappointed again, that they need to understand that or your rules would need to be adjusted. I understand that none of the I'm sorry, I'm having a brain moment here. We'll just move on. Constitutional officers are present this evening, and I would still like, I would have appreciated if the sheriff was able to have lowered his budget some, but I see he's not here to even address any questions. And some people may not realize that nearly half of the entire county's budget goes to these other departments like the sheriff, the clerk, property assessor, that are not under the board's control. But I went home this afternoon, and I went back through the budget papers of from the workshops of the departments that are under the board's control. County Attorney's Office increased by $332,000. Human Resources increased by $288,000. Facility Services increased $1.3 million. Parks and Rec increased $1.6 million. Public Safety, $6.7 million. Employee pay increase of 5% for another $5 million. When you add all these up, you come out with more or less about $15 million. I'm not saying to cut them out of the budget totally, because if I'm having a heart attack, I might want public service EMS to come and help me. Maybe, maybe not, depending where I am in life. But I'm saying there is some extra money perhaps in your budget that once you pass it, you might want to move around or go back and talk to those departments that are under your control. As you mentioned, there's a decline in housing. They're predicting it's going to probably get worse before it gets better. And I'd hate to see all our reserves spent when we may very much need them for the rainy day that I still believe is ahead. And I would encourage you to trim those departments that I mentioned earlier in preparation for 2026-27 that, in my opinion, and many other experts, will be ugly. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Minide? David Minide? Sorry if I didn't say that correctly. I'm trying to read your handwriting.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you. My name is David Minnick. I'm a resident here and voter in Lee County. And I wanted tonight to add my voice in encouraging the full funding of Conservation 2020 in the days to come, however that might be possible. I feel very strongly about the program. Others will speak tonight of the legal and financial fiscal obligations in place here to honor and respond to the voters, the voices of the voters in recent years. Time and again, they have affirmed the need for conserving lands in such a rapidly developing area. And their strong affirmation of votes in this are sending a clear message of what the priorities are in the citizens' minds. But tonight I would like to add the moral argument for this. Time has shown us again and again the intrinsic values of conservation, finding and respecting a balance between planned development and conservation is feasible and wise. Citizens speak over and over again of the importance of infrastructure, making plans now to find and maintain that balance. Protecting lands and natural areas in addition to the environmental, tourist, and recreation benefits is a way to set in place to ensure the qualities of daily living for years to come. Protecting our natural environmental infrastructure is not a luxury. Conservation is a core conservative value. I believe it is responsible stewardship of that which is entrusted to us by our Creator and our ancestors. And it is our responsibility to those who will follow us in the years to come to inherit a land to grow and prosper in. Recently, I had the chance to visit and hike the green spaces on the campus of FGCU. And while I was there, I was reminded that when the university's beloved benefactor, Ben Hill Griffin, donated 800 acres of land that make up the campus, he did so with the provision that half the land, 400 acres, would be kept as a preserve. I see the benefit of that wisdom and foresight whenever I visit that beautiful campus, a true model of a balance between development and preservation. So I understand the circumstances, but I want to strongly encourage you all to find the ways in the days to come to fully fund the Conservation 2020 budget so that this community's moral obligation can be fulfilled. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Joseph Bosner? Followed by Paul, same last name.
Good afternoon, Joseph Benazia. I live in Cape Coral. And honestly, I feel like I missed a boat on this one because I'm just going to reiterate what everybody said, support for 2020. That's not what's going on tonight. And at the workshop, I've been informed there is no public input then either. So usually, Commissioner Ruane.
I apologize to take any of your time. If we could pause this clock. Mr. Chairman, I just want to answer that question because I don't want to, I mean, we'll hear that a lot. So the good news is we do take public comment for the workshops. If you look at the 9:30 agenda every single Tuesday when we have our commission meetings, down at the bottom, it says workshop update and then public comments for the workshop. We actually finish our morning meeting with the public comment for the workshop. People can come, speak, share their piece about the workshop. Then we usually break for lunch and then we reconvene for the workshop around 1:30. So we actually hear from the public before we even get into our discussion about the workshop. And it's on the agenda. You can pull any of our past agendas to verify that. So thank you very much.
So the other thing I just would encourage you to, there's 5 commissioners here. People always come up, and I'm doing this 19 years, okay? 3 minutes is a lot to try to get your message in. I've had many people during some challenging times. Joyce was one. You call my office, we have a conversation, we make an appointment, we go over whatever you want. But rest assured, people that weren't here today, this board's committed to this program. I don't want any misconception because we didn't move an item over. It does say we have to replenish it. Doesn't say when, just says we have to. And maybe we are certainly somewhat complacent having $100 million in reserves, but we have enough money. I just want people to understand that. Commissioner Hammond's point is, I always tell people, if you want to have an effective meeting, make a meeting with the commissioner. I'm not going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to give you 10, 15, 20, whatever you need. And we could have a productive conversation. That's what I'm trying to do. Just tonight, I don't want anyone to walk away saying, they didn't move the money. I don't have that luxury. I just want everyone to understand it, be totally transparent. And this is my 19th budget.
I understand that. Yep. In making the budget, there were value judgments made, and they cannot be changed now. Yep. So at what point should I participate next time so I might be able to influence the judgments that you make on where monies will be?
So you'll have 2 opportunities. One, as Commissioner Hammond said, at the end of every meeting, so we advertise the workshop. Let's say it's October 16th, hypothetical. October 16th, you can come at the meeting we have at 9:30. At the end, we take public comments. We'll ask for public comments on the workshop. Talk about it. I'm just indicating if you'd like more than 3 minutes, contact the commissioner or multiple commissioners and have that meeting. Yeah. It's a much more productive conversation. I always think it's very challenging to come up here for 3 minutes to try to make your point and make it in a most eloquent way and most productive way. I always just encourage people, pick up the phone. Anyone that's called my office, we make appointments and all the commissioners will do that. Just much more fruitful conversation. You'll have a greater appreciation for where we're coming from. No one knew that I governed on Sanibel for 13 years. So I understand, but you know, so many people coming into Lee County, you don't know. I just want people to understand we're committed to the program, and tonight at the budget, we're going to pass a millage rate, and I can't go up, and we're going to pass the total budget. Other than that, that's the action tonight. I'll certainly make sure you want to leave your name with my assistant, feel free to. I'll go out of my way to make sure you understand when the workshop is. I should come to my office. We'll have a conversation and make your comments known on the record. Gladly to do so.
Thank you very much. I did email all of you today. I hope you'll take a couple of minutes to read.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Paul, same last name.
Good evening, Commissioners. I think I'm going to add my voice to all the others this evening. My name is Paul Benasia. I'm a resident of Cape Coral and one of the founders of Protect Our Wetlands in Cape Coral. Our grassroots organization in Southwest Cape Coral has been focused on opposing the proposed Redfish Point development south of Rotary Park on 350 acres of wetlands for the last 3 years. We have been advocating for the landowner to sell his property through the Conservation 2020 program. I'm here tonight to urge you to continue funding this vital program. In 2016, 84% of Lee County voters, an overwhelming majority, reaffirmed their commitment to Conservation 2020. That was a clear mandate from the public that they want their tax dollars protecting the natural lands that safeguard our drinking water, provide storm and flood protection, and preserve wildlife and natural beauty that make Lee County special.
Since its start, Conservation 2020 has preserved over 31,000 acres. These lands are more than green space. They are a smart investment that strengthens our tourism-based economy, protects our property values, saves taxpayers money by reducing storm damage. Now it is time to act. Land prices are softening and sellers are looking for certain to sell. The county demonstrates, if the county demonstrates commitment, we can secure these properties at the best value for taxpayers. If we delay, we pay much more later or lose the chance entirely. Earlier this year, Cape Coral City planners recommended to the City Council to deny the landowner's request to change the comprehensive land use plan. We are pleased with that decision, and it may encourage the landowner to instead nominate their property through Conservation 2020. I respectfully ask you to honor the will of the voters and replenish the Conservation 2020 fund. Let's keep the program strong so future generations in Lee County balance the growth with natural lands and make this place home. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate your comments. You and I did meet and
Yes,
talked
we did.
about at Redfish, Bluefish. You know, I got up and spoke long before this commission.
Right.
Trust me, our commitment is to this program. Trust me,
I know.
we
I've
certainly will.
understood everything you said. I
Yeah,
understand.
no,
Thank you.
Amanda Cochran, followed by Darius Cochran.
Mind if I go first?
Sure, by all means. Come on up, Darius.
We can't have interaction and ask questions today?
That's correct.
A lot of questions. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Appreciate you honoring Charlie Kirk today. I think that's something we can all agree on. But as you talked about the workshop, it made me think, what if Charlie Kirk had all the students email the questions the day before, and then he just stood up there for 2 hours and answered the questions? I think effective communication is interaction, talking and asking questions and elaborating. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
That's why we're saying even make appointments in our office too.
But that's private. When you're in the open, transparent, because we get ideas from other folks. You may actually get an idea from one of the citizens who want to use it.
Unfortunately, we
For the next
operate by
question.
Robert's rules. That's the way every municipality does. They're Robert's rules. That's what we have to follow.
Well, I
I don't
think
make
we
the
ought to,
rules, I follow them.
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's
but
what we do in the United
I
States.
can't imagine a Robert's Rules of Order not allowing the commissioners having interaction and speaking back and forth in an open forum.
Please read it.
Okay. So anyways, do you have anything in the budget for the Lee County Civic Center seating? We have no seats for 10 years. We'd like to have seats. Is there anything in the budget for seats?
That's not a question and answer. Where do you explain that? That's not what we're
It's
doing.
concerning the budget.
Understand, we have two questions. Millage rate increase, millage rate decrease, total budget. It's not line by line, we don't do that. That was
These people have asked all
other
kind of
workshops
questions here.
before.
They've asked all kind of questions. The lady talked about EMS and all kind of things. So you're not going to answer the question? Can he answer the question? Are they interested in replacing the seats at the Lee County Civic Center that was been for 10 years, has been asking for seats?
No, but
This is like, I don't know what your expectations are.
Just just to answer.
I'm answering your question like my answers.
Okay, so your answer is you're not going to answer.
No, that's not what we do tonight. We had other workshops before, you can certainly do it. Public
Well,
comment?
it's about a final budget public hearing. So I thought maybe we could ask some questions about the budget, but I guess not.
Yes, sir.
So, appreciate it.
Chairman, could I talk to the county attorney just for one
Absolutely.
second? Just because I heard something at the West Coast Inland Navigation District and their attorney, he kind of opined that on budget hearings, you were able to answer questions, just there was something special about the budget hearing. I don't know if our county attorney is aware of that or.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of any differing rules that govern the conduct of your budget hearings. That may be a rule that's localized to the West Coast Inland Navigation District. They may operate by different rules of procedure.
Okay.
This meeting was advertised, and it is conducted tonight, as it has been in the past, in conformance with your procedural rules, which is, this is the portion of the meeting in which residents can address you in 3-minute increments. It's not question and answer. This is your final budget hearing, the conclusion of a 9-month budget process. There would have been ample opportunity to raise those questions either before you at a regular county commission meeting and/or with staff on an individualized basis. I would suggest you adhere to your rules of procedure for consistency purposes.
Doing the best I can, sir.
Thank you.
Amanda Cochran, she back here, Barbara Manzo? Barbara?
Okay, good evening, Commissioners. Barbara Manzo for the record, Eyes on 2020, Conservation 2020 Coalition. I have a whole bunch of canned remarks. I'm just going to give them in for you. You've expressed your support over and over and over and over again for the Conservation 2020 program, and we appreciate that. I'm here to alert you, if you don't know, to the fact that in the budget tonight, and it's very difficult for most people to go through those documents and understand them, okay? There are those of us who do understand them and understand what they're saying. On the page 1, the first page of the capital improvement plan, under county lands, there is a line item called Conservation 2020. It does not say acquisition. It does not say anything, but that indeed is the fund for acquisition. I hope you all noticed that that fund for the next 5 years has $25,000 allocated each year for the next 5 years. 25,000, okay? Not 25 million, not 1 million, not anything. In effect, those of us who see that believe that this is the end of the program. I understand you have a single year, that you have hurricanes and there's problems and the budget has to be cut, et cetera. But 5 years out, in not one of those years is there any money for Conservation 2020 acquisition. So this morning, when you promised that you would find the money, you promised you would purchase the properties and you would find the money if a property like Redfish Point finally does come available. How can staff even bring that to you when they don't have $1 in their budget to tell you to purchase it with? I don't know where you're going to find the money, Commissioners, but right now, by ordinance, you're supposed to replenish those funds. What you did this morning by purchasing part of the land that you purchased and leaving the rest, you purchased over $4 million this morning, leaving you over $14 million. So, okay, the end of the budget year is 3 weeks away. You're going to go into another budget year. So the theory is that that 14+ million goes into reserves, back into the program, and now you're at 14+ million for next year. Hopefully that's where it's going. And then if you followed the law, you'd have to come up with another 26 million to make it to the minimum of 40. So Commissioners, please, just be transparent with us, be honest. You say you support this program, put your money where the mouth is. We've got to refund this program or nobody's going to bring these properties forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. William Hammond? William Hammond? Okay, no problem.
Dr. Bill Hammond, how you doing? Nice seeing you again.
It's been a long time since I've been here.
A couple of years.
I tried to stay away from you and not be a pest. But this, when I read this in the paper, I just had to get out of the hospital.
That was your first mistake right there. So.
And I commend you. After 2 terms on the Water Managers District, sitting here this late at night in hearings, I know what kind of day you had today. But there's a couple of things that I think are important. I think, this is a business model, right? You're all business persons. When you have more than 3 times now, the citizens of Lee County have said, we believe in this program. at the 80% level or more. The first one when the high school kids worked in the community and got the whole community to buy 6 Mile Cypress. And the county commission did a great job of following it up and get it bought. Took 6 years to do it, but we got it done. And then the 2020 came out of that effort when people recognized how important that was. And the referendum for the original 2020 went over the same way. And then we had a second time, and as my ancient mind remembers, one of the issues we had with the clerk was the cities were all contributing money to 2020. And that created a problem with these special districts, and we would have been in a mess with all these different special districts with the city contributions and the county mix, you know. And that led to the Blue Ribbon Committee. To be honest with you, I think that was a turning point for not for the good, in my opinion, for the future of 2020. I think it had gotten co-opted and there was a lot of stuff going on. But I think if this workshop is really a workshop where there's a reason every county and every city is asking the federal government and the state for grants and support. Because the model, the business model, is a failure. All human development is based on fossil fuels. And nature's based on basically natural fuels. The fossil fuel costs, development is a way of creating wealth in the community. It creates jobs, it creates all those things we all value. But on the other hand, it has a cost. Howard Odom and his brother did a study on the 5 counties in Southwest Florida back in 1969 and 70 through 73. Had a whole team down here for 3 years. And they looked at the energetics of all the energy applications coming in across our borders, across system boundaries, and all going out. And they said there's, based on all the energetics and the research that they had done, that Lee County had the least amount of public space, green space, of any of the counties in South Florida. Even the East Coast counties, Dade County has 45% of it. It's in public ownership.
If you could wrap your comments up, I'm sorry.
So
3 minutes are
the
up.
point I want to get to is just, if you let me just close that out, is if you make this a real workshop, we can bring some of these people in that have done that homework and can show you how the balance and what's happening here. If you put 1 billion new units that you approved down in Corkscrew, then that's going to cost twice the value of all the money you put in and derive from having to put the infrastructure in and everything for that development, or for that amount of development.
Thank
So
you for
you're
your
always at a
comments.
loss.
You're way past, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Thank you.
I hope we can have a workshop where we really work. Thank you.
Gerard Robbins. Mr. Robbins. Last card I have is Marsha Ellis.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and say a few words. I'm old enough to know that there are 4 times as many people on the face of the earth today as when I was born. We can't keep doing business the way we used to with our increase in population and with the kind of development that we have. And Thomas Berry has said, what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. And Buckminster Fuller had the wisdom to call Earth as Spaceship Earth. You don't go off in a spaceship without plan and without being taken care of the vehicle that you are in. We also are in the 6th great extinction at the present time, which is human caused. And Lee County is part of that. We are part of the earth, and the way that we treat the earth, we treat ourselves. I'm concerned about 2020 funding. I'm also concerned about the way that it gets used. I live on A&W Bulb Road. I saw what happened to Deep Lagoon 2020 property. We dumped so much crap on there, I can't believe that we did that to sacred land that we spent millions of dollars for. It doesn't make sense. All that toxic material went into our wetlands. How can we possibly allow that to happen? I have strong feelings, obviously, about what's going on, and I want to share something with you, if you'll allow me. Sometimes it seems that, let me get to the right place here. Sometimes artists can speak to us more clearly than I can. So this is part of a poem by Hieroglyphic Stairway by Drew Dellinger. It's 3:23 in the morning and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. The great-great-grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren ask me in dreams, what did you do when the earth was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing, as the mammals, reptiles, birds were all dying. Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do when once you knew? I'm asking that we support this program as you say that you do. As the young lady said, I don't understand how we got this place in the budget that we're not supporting the program as the people in the county voted to do.
Thank you for your comments. Your
I will
time's
be
up.
happy to sit down with you and talk to you and.
That lady in the purple is my assistant. Feel
Okay.
free to. Your time's
Thank you
up.
very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Yes.
Marcia Ellis, come on up. And anyone else that would like to speak after Marcia, please raise your hand.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm going to submit for the League of Women Voters of Lee County the 2 letters that we have written and make sure that those are on the record. I know that you have received those. I'm also submitting action alerts, and this is my individual commentary at this point, from all of the various nonprofits that have alerted the public of the defunding. We don't have our dot camera up, do we? As well as I am submitting some photographs of the YouTube videos from the Conservation 2020 Class Act meetings, including the 12/18/24, when CFO Pete Witten came in and explained that 65 million approximately is being raised from the 0.5 millage for Conservation 2020. He also said that about 6 million is spent on average for the management. These numbers are important. I heard you talk a little while ago, and I was very saddened. I'm saddened because I think community voice is very important and that we shouldn't be administratively abused by systems that push us out. I was saddened because I read the script that was to be read by the chairman this evening, and it at no time said, I'm going to chill the testimony of the caring people of this community who have shown up in order to be able to give comment about how their funds and what they voted to support is being spent. And that concerns me because I do think it is a matter of consistency. It is not okay to chill testimony. I understand that you do not allow comments at these workshops, and for months, many folks have been seeking some clarity in a transparent way about what is going on with Conservation 2020, and those questions have not been answered. I have personally seen that occur. This information and where we are today is the result of a whole series of mishaps that go back to the confusion over the 0.5 millage and how that went into the general fund and the lack of transparency that has sprung from that. All of you have the opportunity to address that and clear that up. This has flown under the radar because there weren't lands in to be purchased, unfortunately. And we heard that for months and months and months. There's nothing to be purchased. No one is bringing forward property, so there is no need for the meeting, and the management plans went by the wayside. All right, and now that folks are bringing their properties forward, which is great, that's when all of this old business becomes aired. And it becomes clear that you are not committed to enacting the will of the people or following your own ordinances that are in place. So I am extremely disappointed by what I see, and I want to make sure that the workshops that are planned, that we should have input on how those are conducted. I do not believe that it is adequate at the end of your board meetings for you to have us give comments on things that have not even been discussed. You are denying our voice in community planning and civic engagement.
Please, you can't just disregard rules. I know that's what you'd like to do, but you can't. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Bring it back up to the dais. Now close public comment.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
I was trying to wait till the end, but I do have some feedback. And for those of you that didn't watch our meeting this morning, I would invite you to go back and watch the YouTube video to see the testimony by my fellow board members and I in support of the 2020 program, unwavering to this point. And we reviewed the projects today. We looked at a scoring matrix review. We said we want to have the workshop. And we also talked about things in the market that, with the market cooling now, that the inventory of projects we might have an opportunity to buy, as was mentioned by some of the people here today. If we are not strategic in how we spend our money as we go, then we may lose a large opportunity in the future and wish we had that money back to upgrade that plan. So we're talking about this in a way that's meant to be the opportunity of being a cash buyer to buy the right properties at the right price in the right market. So buying more property when the market is hot is not good real estate investment. Buying market properties when the real estate market is down is the smart time to invest in those properties. So we're actually trying to be more effective with our money, and all of us are in full concert on this. Everybody on this board, I know, including myself, voted for the same 2020 ordinance when it was passed. So nobody up here is fighting you. I've never had this much pushback on something we all agree on so far. But I know it's confusing. I'm a new commissioner. This budget is complicated. It took me a couple of passes to go through this, but we're all in support of all this whole program. We have the reserves to pay to general fund reserves that can actually be more agile and more nimble to buy something if an opportunity comes before us, than just simply having it in one account on the ledgers here. So it's just a different way to display it, but it doesn't change the opportunity fund that we have. And we also have to have money reserves for things like the season we're in halfway through right now. So we've got to be agile. And I said it this morning, we get hundreds of emails, we all care. I wanted to thank the chair's comments saying, I've watched people that came up here and speak at the end of the meeting and they think it's the only time you can be heard is 3 minutes on a clock. And I had a gentleman in the 10-mile-an-hour area that kept doing that 2 meetings in a row, and I said, can you just come see me and make an appointment and let's sit down and do this? Ended up with a workshop in their neighborhood, and we've made improvements from that. So there is a good process to be found, but don't feel like you need to be cornered on camera in 3 minutes. We would all be happy to take your meetings and listen to your concerns. So there's nothing that's, this agenda this evening has certain rules and procedures. We're trying to follow those things. But I assure you, you're all being heard and we all care. So I want to make sure that you understand that we are listening. We read the emails and we're here to support all these opportunities. But we've got to be, the secret to a long marriage is I tell my wife, I agree when she says I agree on something. So I'm agreeing that we agree with everybody's concern, and I love the passion, I love the heart. It takes some time to take these things apart, but we are here and we listen to you, and I appreciate your voicing these concerns. There's certain mechanics of this meeting that process needs to be followed, but any given Tuesday, somebody could bring a project in our lap, and we could all say we agree, and that would be a decision. So I wanted to get that on record. Thank you.
Thank you. I've closed public comment. We're back now. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the final millage resolution for special taxing.
Move the item.
Second. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I'll now ask a motion for the final budget for the above stated taxing units.
I'll move the item, Chair.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now ask the CFO to proceed with the countywide millage rates and budgets.
The proposed countywide millage is 3.7623 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of 3.6162 mils per thousand of taxable value. The proposed millage is a 4.04% increase from the rollback rate.
I'll move the item.
Second, Chair.
Second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The proposed Lee County Library millage is .4218 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of .4218 mils per thousand of taxable value. The proposed millage is a 0% increase from the rollback rate.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the final Lee County Library budget.
Second. Burt. Motion.
I have a motion. I'll second it. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The proposed Lee County unincorporated area MSTU millage is .8398 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of .8091 mils per thousand of taxable value. The proposed millage is a 3.79% increase from the rollback rate.
I'll move the item.
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I'll ask for a motion for the final budget for the Lee County unincorporated MSTU 2526.
Move the item.
Second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The proposed Lee County All Hazards Protection District millage is .0693 mils per thousand taxable value compared to the rollback rate of .0673 mils per thousand of taxable value. This represents a 3.03% increase from the rollback rate.
I'll move the item, Chair.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I'll now ask for a millage rate for the final resolution for Lee County hazard protection.
I'll move the item, Chair.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the final budget for Lee County All Hazard Protection District. I'll move the item.
Second. I might have done that one.
No, we did the resolution for the millage rate first, then the final budget.
Okay.
Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Lee County, all other budgets for the board's adoption tonight make up the rest of the total county budget proposed for next fiscal year. These are funds that are not supported by a millage and include significant operations such as utilities, solid waste, visitor and convention bureau, transit, toll facilities, and those budgets funded through grants from other entities. These budgets are included as part of the total Lee County budget and are detailed in the budget summary in your materials.
I'll move the item.
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
In compliance with Florida statutes, this public hearing is being held on September 16th, 2025 for the purpose of the adoption of the final total Lee County budget for fiscal year 25-26, and the Board of County Commissioners has now adopted the final millage rates necessary to fund the budget. The proposed total Lee County budget for fiscal year 25-26, as shown in the budget summary reports, which outlines each fund is made part of the total of the budget resolution, is now being proposed for adoption as the final total Lee County budget of Lee County, Florida for fiscal year 25-26.
I'll move the item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. There's no other meeting, any other business before us. I'll call for an adjournment.
Second.
We're adjourned.